Hi, Dr. Ray. I love your show.
Let me show you what it looks like to be a holy person, and maybe you'll want to be holy like me.
You just patted yourself on the back.
You seem like an honest guy.
But you're a psychologist. Do you have some advice?
I don't know. I'm not going to tell you what to do.
You're my second favorite Italian person.
I think you have a way of making people feel relaxed.
She needs to feel the consequences of being a jerk.
You know, I was looking for a deeper answer.
Obviously, I'm a failure. Obviously, I'm inept.
You are awesome. Keep up the good fight, my friend.
Now, from the studios of Living Bread Radio Network in Canton, Ohio, the hometown of Mother Angelica, here's Dr. Ray.
I'm not real worried about being a toxic male. Matter of fact, there's some things I really enjoy about being a male. For example, I can open all my own jars. I go on a vacation, 5 days, 1 suitcase. The other day, I was out of town. I left the motel bed unmade. That's right. Nice to have you here on The Doctor Is In. I'm Dr. Ray Guarendi. I like to think I'm a sensitive male, empathic, connecting, emoting, at least for brief periods. And there's been times when I think I felt very, very close to my wife as we sat and debated whether calling a draw play on 3rd and 10 will catch the defense off guard. She's good that way. She can hold her own. Here on the program, I will try to be sensitive, empathic, but directive, as they used to call therapy. You can do directive therapy or non-directive therapy, where I would say, you must feel so frustrated by that. I'm really hearing you say that you're angry. Okay. That's one option you've considered. What might be another? Now, I'm gonna sprinkle it with a lot of directions. Now, this is not therapy, so what I offer are options for yours to consider. Whether your call is about a situation with a kid, circumstances in a marriage, if you will, a faith question, a faith struggle, faith as it interacts with psychology, an older parent, a young adult who has said, no, you just really messed up my parenting, and I just think it's best that I set boundaries because my therapist tells me you're toxic. Anything like that. Or if you would like to offer, like yesterday happened, or maybe I should say as yesterday happened, because it's not a simile. As yesterday happened, several people called in, offer some suggestions and insights about a previous caller. That's always very helpful. Very, very helpful. It fleshes out my very brief answer, and I appreciate that. And the really good ones, I gather up. I take notes on what you say. You know that, don't you? And I gather them up, and I put them in books, and then I make money. And I just want to thank you. 877-573-7825. 877-57-EQUAL. That is the number to call to get onto the program if you would like. And I would like you to. You may not necessarily like to, and hopefully you won't dislike it even more after you hang up. But I welcome your calls very much. You make the show run. And if you're a little nervous about giving your name and place, you can just be anonymous. We've had those. Or Azerbaijan. We've had several calls from Azerbaijan. Or generic. Name. It's calling from place. Which is, by the way, what my oldest son did to his brother. My oldest son could be pretty slick. And so John, who was, let's see, how many years younger than Andrew? 3? Andrew probably was 10 or 11 at the time. John was 8, something like that, 7 or 8. John came running in. Andrew's calling me a name. Andrew's calling me a name. And we heard Andrew saying, John's a name. John's a name. So he was actually calling him a name. 57 equal. That is the number to call to spend some time here with me on the phone, and I appreciate so much your company. I got a question for you parents out there. Perhaps some of you younger parents. And this could extrapolate to grandparents because many of you grandparents have young grandkids. But it's not necessarily limited to the under 10 crowd. And cut across the whole age spectrum of children. Are you at all uneasy? Or feeling the first pangs of uneasiness over the amount of stuff that is aimed at your children? What they get for Christmas? Obviously, you like to see their excitement as they tear open stuff like the great white shark into a ripping frenzy waiting for the next gift. They don't even want to play for this one. There's more. There's a pile there. I want to get into that pile. Are you uneasy like my wife and I quickly became at Christmas time with our kids? As each one of them grew a little older and a little older. At one point we had 10 under 12, age 12. So we had a lot of little ones there at the same time. And, of course, let's say from age 14 down to 2, which is the 10 years, if each kid got 5 things, that would be 50 things that came into our house. 50. As in 50. So are you a little bit uneasy about this, but you're not really sure what to do? Because the aunts, the uncles, the grandparents, they want to give. They want to do nice things. And then, you grandparents, you're a little nervous because the other grandparents really indulge them. And you're thinking, I got to try to at least somewhat keep up. I don't want the other grandma to give them a trip to Disney World twice this year. And I'm going to get them like a large Reese's peanut butter cup. So I got to do something. That can put pressure on you. Or your grandparents are tempted, And the parents try to rein you in. Mom, please. Mom, she's got 27 stuffed animals burying that bed. There's no place to sleep on that bed. She's got to form a little pathway in between the giraffe and the hippopotamus. I know, honey, but she does not. I looked. She does not have a zebra stuffed animal. Mom, did you look? 4 of those stuffed animals are equine stuffed animals. Okay, I know that, but I would like this to be in the car then. Mom, there's already 5 stuffed animals in the car. Yes, I saw that too, but those are in the back seat. There is none in the front seat. Mom, please, no more stuffed animals. Now, the parents might try to tone down the gift tsunami, but it's hard because people want to do this. I mean, he's just so cute. He's 4 years old. Come on. Or she's a surly 13-year-old, and I kind of want her to like me. So, all right, I'm going to promise her a red Corvette when she graduates. A used one. It's not going to be new. Come on. I'm not going to spoil her. So given all that, what do you do as a parent or even as a grandparent who wants to cut back? Well, because I am so smart and I can offer an answer to that, here it is. Cut back. Now, there may be part of you that says, yes, I would like to cut back. Or the parent would say, yes, I would like to not have so much stuff coming in. What do? Are you motivated by some kind of worry or insecurity or pressure to do something that you think, no, this is getting carried away. This is excessive. This is just excessive. Well, you're allowed to cut back, but you could do some things that my wife and I did. We tried to tell the relatives they get so much. They get so much during the year. And it's not their birthday. Christmas is not their birthday. So given that, we've got some good questions up there. Thank you for calling. Please be patient. I will get to you. Don't leave me. Oh, girls hang up on me all the time. There's girls up there, and they just hang up on me like they did in college. And I usually said something to offend them. I said something like, "Hi, Renee. It's Ray." And that's when they hung up. So apparently saying it's Ray offended them. We did this at Christmas time. We gave a good proportion of the tsunami to Children's Hospital. It's about 20 miles from our house. It was a yearly thing. The volunteers there knew we were coming. You know, one year we brought in, I think it was 4 laundry baskets of stuff, and some of it was not opened. I know that's really extreme, isn't it? Oh man, that is over the edge. Wasn't opened. Dr. E, what are you doing? What are you doing? Well, our Lord talked about, if you will, greed, excessive materialism to the exclusion of others, probably more than anything else. Now, did we think that we were going to make our kids non-materialistic by doing that? No, probably not, depending on the kid. But it made a statement. Yes, you will get gifts at Christmas time. Of course you will. We always had a big stocking for the kids that had little trinkets and stuff in it. But one year, I counted how much individual items came into the house. 216. Now you see where I'm coming from? Now you may say, well, come on, Dr. Ray, we've only got 3 kids. That's not happening at our house. Go by proportion. You got 3 kids. See, 216 for 10 kids is 21.6 per kid. All right, so you got 3 kids. Given to relatives, given grandma, given friends, given aunts, uncles, people who care about your kids. Could it hit 20, 21? Now, if you're okay with that, that's your business. You're the parent. You decide. I'm not telling you what to do. I can't. It's not my kid. I'm just giving you some thoughts here. If you're saying, I really am uncomfortable with this. I don't like it, but yet I don't know what to do about it. Well, the first step is to talk to folks. See if they can just give one thing. Second step might be to say, well, thank you, and then quietly just give them away. My daughter Hannah, she was about 7, and we went wrong with her. We tried to raise her well. We didn't. She's a lawyer now. Sorry for all the lawyers. I'm teasing. At age 7, Hanny tells Grandma, "Grandma, you might as well not give me a baby doll. Mom and Dad are just going to give it away." She already had a baby doll. Maybe she had 2 or 3. I don't know. I don't remember. But she tried to box us into a corner pretty good, Hanny. Still got to watch her these days. No. She's a mom with her own 3 kids. You're allowed to put limits on the avalanche. If you think that you don't like the way your kids are approaching materialism, they just are coming to expect. All right, I'm going way too long here. I'll say one more thing. I have had parents tell me, I've had grandparents tell me, that the kids gave them a catalog of toys with the toys circled. Circled. With what they wanted. Huh. 877-573-7825. I got to take a break, and I ask your patience because we've got some calls up there, and I want to talk to each of you. Thank you.
This program brought to you in part by Ave Maria, Florida, a big kind of small town where golf carts take you everywhere and there's always something fun around the corner. Discover championship golf, resort-style amenities, and a town center full of shopping and dining. With Ave Maria University and Ave Maria Catholic Church at its heart, it's a community full of connection and charm. More than 25 model homes are available for viewing. More information can be found at AveMaria.com. That's AveMaria.com.
As the new year approaches, it's the perfect moment to check off a big resolution early and wrap your family in the gift of security. Planning ahead shows your love in a big way, ensuring your wishes shine through no matter what life brings. At mycatholicwill.com/AVE, you can create your will at no cost from the privacy of your home. The process is straightforward. Go to mycatholicwill.com/AVE and prioritize your family's peace of mind.
This week on Christ is the Answer, Father John talks about our inviolable dignity. Created in the image of God, each and every human person has an inviolable dignity. But what exactly does this mean? And what does it entail? And what do we receive because of it? Join us this week as Father John shows us how to see others through the lens of Jesus, as well as talking about the four goods of marriage. Tune in for Christ is the Answer, Monday through Fridays at 11 a.m. on Ave Maria Radio.
Do you own popular index mutual funds or ETFs? If so, you're automatically own shares of companies that conflict with your moral beliefs. Ave Maria mutual funds are managed to conform to pro-life and pro-family values. Long-term investors can invest in the no-load Ave Maria mutual funds. The experienced professional portfolio managers make decisions based on investment fundamentals and pro-life values. You can learn more about Ave Maria mutual funds today at 866 Ave Maria or visit AveMariaFunds.com.
Okay, Karen called last week. She was on the program at the end of the show. Our rule is if you're on the end of the program, you're first up when you call. Now, Karen didn't call first. There were other people who called before Karen. And I will definitely get to you. That's my promise. Please don't leave me. But Karen's situation, this is, okay, I'm going to let Karen explain it. And then I will jump in with my 2 feet. Hi, Karen.
Hi, Dr. Ray. I'm one of those girls that won't hang up on you when you
man, there's like you and one other then.
Okay, so my situation is my son served in Iraq. Last November, a year ago, he was home. He lives in California on the West Coast, single. He told me that he was suffering a little bit from PTSD. Once the election came and went, he found out I voted for Trump. He was starting to get pretty nasty. He would send me memes or emails or stuff off the net about how bad of a president he is. But when he says things like, so he kind of controls the relationship right now. Once in a while I'll get fun things from him. He'll send me a funny picture of his dog, and I'll ask him how he is, and, how's it, what are you doing this weekend, and nothing. But what he'll do is, this is the crutch of it. Mom, you betrayed me when you voted for Trump because of January 6th. I served my country. I volunteered. I put my life on the line, and you threw that all away. I don't know. I tend to not answer him other than, Jason, I thought at the time that was my vote. I thought at the time I didn't correlate what insurrection and your serving. For that, I apologize.
Well, there are those who would disagree with you about insurrection, by the way, and they would just agree with Jason, too. So, that said, but don't argue with him about that. He's convinced that there's a certain way to view it, and that's the only way to view it, and there's no other subtlety or nuance to it. All that said, I'm not political here, but I try to be reasonable. So, I
agree with you.
He's taking it personal. He's taking it super personal.
Yes.
Are you asking what you can say to him? Because I don't know if you can say anything to him that will matter unless you would say, you're right, Jason, I am so sorry. I regret my vote because it was terrible and awful and evil. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. You can do that, and he'll probably like you again.
Well, we're not to that point. He's still, he'll still say he loves me and stuff, but he's disappointed in me. Here's my real question. I think, honestly, he has other things going on in his life, like PTSD and relationship issues. And because I'm his mom, also, I am divorced from his dad, but it's been 30-some years. am the one he's taken out. Because I want to say to him, this is my question. I want to say to him, Jason, do you treat other family members, which I know we have a lot of family members that voted for Trump, and friends like this? But I haven't. Again, I don't engage a lot in politics.
If I'm going to say anything, I would focus on the process, Karen. I would say, Jason, the way you are interpreting it is wrong. Now, if you're going to continue to interpret it that way, you're probably going to stay mad at me or at least stay cool. And there's nothing I can do about it, son. Just know your interpretation is narrow and you personalized it. And now, he won't agree with that. He's not going to agree with that. But at least you've thrown down the seed, and maybe later he'll say, yeah, okay, I was a little bit over the top, tying the two. I think that what January 6th is exactly what I think it is. Mom doesn't agree. But to accuse her of that is over the top. And hopefully he'll come to that conclusion. If you just tell him, Jason, you're just stretching this into unbelievable personal. But here's the other thing, Karen. You know this. A priest told me this once. He said, everything is always about something else. But that's not always true. Sometimes everything is about what it is. But you said it, Karen. Your son is, for whatever the reason, agitated about life right now. And he's more prone to look at things with less openness, because he probably feels like everything in his life is shaky.
I agree. How do I talk to him about that? It's a very delicate subject, this PTSD. It really is.
You can say, Jason, what's going on in your life that you would think that about your mom? What's going on in your life? Well, it's just Mom everything. Just a lot of stuff is happening, Mom. Just a lot of it. And I'm not sure you'll understand PTSD. Is he talking to somebody about it?
Last year he told me he was, yes. Yes. I don't know if he is anymore. Okay. I want to ask him, but I have to find the right moment. Again, it's hard because he lives in the West Coast, so everything is text and phone.
Okay. Well, I think you just make the observation about the process. Again, Jason, you're taking this real personal. It has nothing to do with that. I vote for a lot of reasons, not the least of which I think he is probably the most pro-life president we've had in a while. Not perfectly pro-life, but farther along than a lot. So that's a factor in all of this, Jason, and that doesn't have anything to do with you. Now, if he says, well, I wouldn't bring up any of this. But, you raise an issue, and as a psychologist, I am dumbfounded. I am not dumbfounded. I understand it. But the intensity of hatred, I've never seen this level of hatred, raw hatred toward a political figure, particularly a president.
Yes.
There's a lot of presidents.
I totally agree with you. I don't know why.
Well, I do know why. There's a lot of reasons. Obviously, our political discussion has become very, very vile. And the media.
And social media doesn't help.
Media and social media just pounds away at. Just pounds and pounds and pounds and pounds away at. If there's any way to interpret it in a negative, ugly way, that's the way it's going to be interpreted for many people. So it's kind of sad. I mean, I disagree with a lot of political perspectives and even presidents, but I don't wish them death. I don't hate them. I don't cut off relatives because they think differently. I mean, that's just I don't want to say it's incomprehensible to me. It is comprehensible because I know the factors, but it's sad. It's tragic. It's just tragic. Okay, Karen, thank you, my love. Good luck with everything with your son. Hopefully he will soften, and we will get to you in a moment here on The Doctor Is In.
Oh, hi, Dr. Ray. Thanks for taking the call. I listen to you frequently. So
I don't listen to me frequently. Go ahead.
Well, maybe you should.
Well, we're going to Shelton from Cary, Washington. No, that's Carrie from Shelton, Washington. Got that right. Hi, Carrie.
Hi, Dr. Ray. Thanks for taking my call. Thank you for bringing
Gary,
up...
you don't have to thank me. You don't have to thank me. I have to. Okay, it's an obligation here. Yeah.
Well, thank you for following the master's will. I have two questions. I'm trying to make them quick, but just a real quick one. I just wanted to know what is appropriate screen time for kids, if any. I've been doing no shows for about 2 weeks now, and I told the kids they could, maybe get them when Chris comes back. But I'm just noticing better behavior and all the stuff you've talked about. So I'm just wondering what's appropriate for once Christmas rolls around. What's an appropriate way to manage boundaries?
How old are they, Carrie?
7, 3, and 5 months.
So 5 months probably doesn't notice, huh?
No, she's not. Yeah.
She hasn't asked it. She hasn't asked yet.
No.
Okay. All right. I just want to establish that. Could be beyond her months.
Right.
Are you familiar with what Australia has just done?
I am not.
They have basically, I think it's nationwide, and Andrew, you correct me on this. No kid under 16 is allowed on Instagram, Facebook. What's the other one? The big one that the kids like?
TikTok?
Yes, TikTok. Not allowed. And now I don't know how they can enforce it, how they can do the
right
age assessment, but they did that because they're realizing the information, the research is just pouring in on the intellectual, the social, the emotional effects of this stuff, especially in heavy doses. So with a 7 and a 3-year-old, if it were me, it would be really limited. And it would be something that maybe they could watch a cute little story on it. Or maybe there's a little math game they could play. Okay, no problem with that. But other than that, especially at that age, I wouldn't do any, to tell you the truth. Now, you said something here, Carrie, of course, which a lot of parents will echo, which is, gosh, they seem like nicer to be around, a little more connecting, less misbehavior. Just, I don't know how that's following, but it seems to be. Well, it's not just anecdotal observation, Carrie, on your part. There's research coming in onto this. So, given that, I'd be very limited at this point, and I would scrutinize the content. So that's me. My son was getting older. He would play, I don't know, he was 10, 11, 12. He'd play Madden football. And he had a certain amount of time for Madden football, half an hour. Or he'd play some car racing game. Not the ones where you try to hit pedestrians, Just the ones where you try to drive well and make your best time on a racetrack. That's the kind of stuff we allowed. All right. But your second question here is a little more far-reaching here, Carrie.
Yeah, it's just it's something that's been on heart, and thank you for the screen information too. It's been on our heart to consider fostering, adopting kids, but right now we have 7, 3, and 5 months, but we also have a 3-story house and an acre and a half, and there are a lot of kids out there, and I'm just wondering I just want to prayerfully be wise about what's a good time to bring in kids, and I do want to adopt a sibling set so that they always have each other. So I'm just wondering what that looks like. I know that you said you fostered and adopted quite a few, so I was just wondering,
we didn't foster. We went straight to adoption.
Okay.
I'm going to assume, Carrie, that your 7 and 3-year-old are basic little children who are innocent. Safe to say?
Yes. Well, I mean,
if you now this is kind of a hard reality. If you're going to foster, there is a pretty good chance you're going to bring someone into your home or someones into your home that are much more worldly than your kids are. They've seen more. They've experienced nastier stuff. They did not get the kind of protection and stability that your kids had. So what are they going to bring with them? That's the question. What are they going to bring with them? You're going to have to weigh it. Let's say that you've got a chance to adopt a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. Well, the 7-year-old probably isn't going to be all that affected by them in the sense that if they're difficult, yeah, you could have some sibling problems. But their quote-unquote worldly experiences, if they were in the same foster home, let's say, since near birth, and the foster home was a good, solid foster home that was very protective and very loving, okay, then you may not deal with the kind of worldliness. But if you foster a kid who's had through 6 foster homes, and he's 9, that could be rough on your 7 and 3-year-old for sure. Okay, so that's something you got to be concerned about. We did not adopt anybody generally older than our oldest kids. For that reason, predominantly, we adopted a couple of 4-year-olds, twins, when we had 6, 5, 3, and 1. So we adopted the 4-year-olds. The 3 and the 1 really weren't all that affected. The 1-year-old didn't even know there was somebody else in the house, but the 3-year-old kind of did, and she reacted. It's like, well, who are these people? Why are they in our house? We had a nice family. The 6 and 5-year-old just basically had another couple of kids to rule. So it didn't really affect them all that much, even though the 4-year-olds were very undisciplined, very. And my wife and I had to do a lot more structured parenting than we did with the other kids who came to us from birth. So those are all dynamics. I have a book called Adoption. Should you, could you, and then what? It is on my website bookstore, and it answers all the questions that parents have both pre and post adoption. What about this? What about that? What is the age? What about my kids accepting this? What about my grandma accepting this? What if I don't attach to the kid? What if the kid doesn't attach to me? All of this. It's all in there. So it'll give you a lot more information, Carrie. I wrote the book with the aim that I wanted to get more people to consider adoption because there's a lot of kids out there that need homes. Right. But I also recognize that there's a very reality now. There's a very real situation, which is sometimes adopted kids can be very tough to raise because of their earlier experiences. So all that's got to be taken into that there. Thank you for the call. Okay, a couple more benefits of me being a guy, then on to your calls. I have 3 pairs of shoes. That's it. That's more than enough. I watch a football game with my brother for hours, and I don't ever think he's not saying anything. I wonder if he's mad at me. Okay. To your calls, an anonymous caller from Wisconsin, even though she told me she's from Wisconsin. So I could narrow it down. I mean, I don't know what the population of Wisconsin is, probably what, 7, 8, 9 million, something like that. So I could narrow it down. Hi, anonymous mom. Thanks for the call.
Hi, Dr. Ray. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
So,
I mean,
so
they're
my
going to say,
question is,
hosts have to say stuff like that. They have to go, oh, no, the pleasure's mine. Oh, thank you for calling. You got to say stuff like that. You know, you look at the manual, you know. Oh, by the way, I made an estimate on the population of Wisconsin, and it is about 6 million. So I was reasonably close. So your daughter is dating a guy And at this point, she doesn't even know anything about his beliefs?
Correct. So they were friends for a couple months, and she called us the other day to tell us that he had asked her to be his girlfriend. And so my husband had asked her, where does he go to church? And she said, well, I don't know. And so I'm just concerned how to talk to her about that and guide her with, just kind of figuring out where she is. Why make it a relationship when if they were just friends, what makes having a relationship better? Like, what is she going to get out of having a relationship versus just having friends if she doesn't know what his face is?
How old's your daughter, Mom?
19, in college.
Okay, so this is a guy she knows on the college scene.
Correct, yeah. Friends last year. He liked another girl of hers, her friend, and then so he doesn't. They weren't. Him and the friend weren't really dating, but now her and this friend, this girlfriend, they're not really talking. So I just don't think it's a really healthy situation. But they were friends for a while, and but she doesn't know. My husband talked to her last night about, well, what church does he go to? Why don't you invite him to church? And she just gets really averse to that. So my husband had asked her, well, what's your aversion when we bring up questions about his faith? Why do you seem to get so antsy when we bring that up? So I'm just not sure how to. And
what did she say here, Mom? What did she say when Dad says you're uncomfortable when I ask?
Nothing. She just said, well, I got to go. Goodbye. So that's how they ended it.
Well, you have just confirmed my skepticism. Before you said any of that, I was thinking, how could she be friends with this guy for this period of time and not know if he goes to church and not know anything about what he believes? And then you said when your husband asked her, she kind of gave you a feeble, oh no. And then when he pushed it, goodbye, I don't want to talk about it. I think my skepticism was going to be, does she not know, Mom, or does she just not want to tell you he doesn't go to any church? And I think maybe that's something you could ask her. You could say, what are you telling me here? Since you don't know, are you really saying he doesn't go to any church? And she may admit it. She may say, well, okay, he doesn't. But he's a good person, Mom. He's a good person. You're kind of in a rough spot here, Mom, because, one, she's away at school. And I'm going to assume you're not going to say, we're cutting off all your funding. No, you're probably not going to do that. But you could ask her some stuff. You could say, well, how important is it to you for someone you date to be a Catholic or at least a believing Christian willing to look at the Catholic Church? How important is that to you? Well, Mom, I think there's other things. I think there's a lot of other things. Common interests, and we have a lot of fun when we're together, and he's really a nice person. Mom, he's a lot better person than some of the Catholic boys. I know. I don't know what kind of argument she's going to give you, but that's going to be probably something along those lines.
Sounds right, yep.
Okay, I hate when I predict this. It makes me get full of myself, you know what I mean? So given that, I would ask her these things. And how she responds, how agitated she gets may tell you more than anything, because that may tell you that he doesn't have any belief system and she just likes the guy for all kinds of other reasons. And you could say, if she lets you carry on the conversation without hanging up, you could say, well, do you think if he doesn't have much of any kind of religious beliefs, that would be a factor down the road in your relationship getting deeper? Would it be? And then you got to see her answers. And there's a larger context here. If her answers continue to be along the lines of, you don't need to be religion to be a good person, then she's telling you he doesn't have religion and I don't care because I'm drifting away from religion.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And she's in college, and you got a pretty good chance of that.
Right.
So that's where I think you got to explore it a little bit and see how she reacts.
Got it.
I know.
Okay.
I'll tell you.
Thank you.
Good luck with that, Mom. And I'm going to try to find. There's only 6 million people in Wisconsin, so I'm gonna put Andrew Kruchek on it. I'm going to say, see if you can find out what her name is, what this woman's name is.
You need to do that. All right. So I guess we could cut her off, though. I mean, we do pay for some stuff. We
You could. That would be. See, for me, this is just my opinion. It would be extreme. And how do you enforce it? Okay, so she says, okay, I don't see him anymore. Right. And of course she does. Of course she does.
Right.
So I think what you got to do is you got to hopefully guide her into understanding that there are really good reasons for getting closer to somebody who believes as you do in the deepest things of life. Hopefully she'll understand that. Or hopefully he'll reveal himself to be not the greatest guy in the world because he doesn't necessarily have kind of a moral system. And by the way, if he doesn't, then there's no reason for him not to want to get physical with her.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
I know. And you might want to bring that up, too. You might want to bring that up, too.
Yeah, we're thinking. Yeah, we got it. I know we thought about that. All right, Dr. Ray, thank you so much.
Thank you. You have a wonderful, beautiful Christmas. Okay,
you too.
Thank you. Bye. Last night I played trivia. We usually do okay. We got bludgeoned. I mean, there was just blood all over the table on how bad we got clobbered. And the bad part of it was, it's one thing not to know an answer. I understand that. But when you're sure of an answer and it's wrong, like I did twice last night, because the more sure of an answer, the higher you can bet. But when you're wrong, you lose all those points. Hectare. Do you know what a hectare is? Hectare is 10,000 square meters. It's approximately 2.47 acres. It is a metric system measure of land spread. I came across that recently. I said, oh, boy, that'd be a good trivia question. Hectare, that's a great trivia question. And as soon as it came up, I said to my team, I know this. I just came across it. I said, it's a great trivia question. And they said, what is it? I went, ARES, A-R-E-S. That's what it is, A-R-E-S. They said, are you sure? I said, I'm not positive, but I think that's what it is. And then the moment of slapdown, when the answer comes up on the screen and it said hectare, and I thought, I got the A-R-E part right, but I missed the heck. The heck with it. Dr. Ray.
Do you own popular index mutual funds or ETFs? If so, you're automatically own shares of companies that conflict with your moral beliefs. Ave Maria mutual funds are managed to conform to pro-life and pro-family values. Long-term investors can invest in the no-load Ave Maria mutual funds. The experienced professional portfolio managers make decisions based on investment fundamentals and pro-life values. You can learn more about Ave Maria mutual funds today at 866-AVE-MARIA or visit AveMariaFunds.com.
Where are servants of prayer? The Christian family is the first place of education in prayer, says the Catholic Catechism. The family is the domestic church where children learn to pray and to persevere in prayer. Ordained ministers are also responsible for forming their brothers and sisters in prayer. Many in the religious life have consecrated their whole lives to prayer. The consecrated life is sustained by prayer and is one of the living sources of contemplation and spiritual life of the church. Catechesis aims to teach all members of the Church to meditate on the Word of God in personal and liturgical prayer, internalizing it in order to bear fruit in a new life. Prayer groups and spiritual direction can also be powerful tools in the practice of prayer. A spiritual director should be chosen with great care, for as St. John of the Cross warns, as the Master is, so will the disciple be. This is Peggy Stanton, and this has been the Order of Malta's Minute with the Catechism.
Advent is here, and Ave Maria Radio wants to walk beside you every day as we move towards the birth of Jesus. When you visit AveMariaRadio.net, you can join our Advent mission and receive short, powerful, and engaging daily videos that help you enter the mystery of the Incarnation with new clarity and devotion. Go to the slider at AveMariaRadio.net, sign up, and take your place in this joyful journey to the manger.
Thank you for joining me here on The Doctor Is In. Well, we've got about 4 minutes left. Let's see what we're looking at up there. And again, as I oftentimes say, if you're on the line at the end of the program, you call back and you will be first up. So I want to go to Mario. Hi, Mario from North Carolina. Thanks for the call. Hello there, Mario.
I just wanted to make a comment about the last woman you just talked to.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you kind of gently guided her away from cutting off funds and all that other stuff, because you really got to be careful going to war over something, because then you lose all influence. So it's one of those things you have to, it's not saying that it never gets to that point, but you have to be very careful about going that far.
Yeah, the key is you don't know the context of this young lady. Is she attracted to this guy because, in fact, she honestly doesn't know about his religious beliefs? I find that very hard to believe. Or is it that she is getting a little wobbly in her own religious beliefs, so therefore this is no longer a priority in a relationship? You don't know that, and I think mom and dad are going to probably try to explore that if the girl lets them. She shut them off last time.
But I would argue either way, whether it's drifting away or it's she's not sure, whatever. If you go sort of to the extreme and say we're cutting you off of everything, that is a way to lose all influence, and suddenly now you don't have any connection to help guide somebody who probably needs guidance at this point.
Yeah, I think in only the more extreme cases would a parent do that.
That's a pretty rare case, right?
Well, it's not as rare as you think. Mario, it's not as rare as you think, because a lot of parents will say, my kids are getting bad grades and they're partying. My kids have done things at school that are incredibly immoral, if not illegal. My kids are on a self-destructive path. So given that, that's a reason, I think, the parent has to make a decision. Okay, am I going to fund this particular irresponsible, immoral lifestyle? So that's more common than you think. It really is. But in a case like this, I tend to agree with you. It's kind of, you got to be careful saying, okay, we're going to cut you off. Then what? Then what? She going to come back home? Is she going to move in with the guy? What's going to happen then? So, Mario, thank you. Good thoughts. Appreciate it, buddy. Angel calling from Perrysburg, PA. Hi, Angel.
Hey, Dr. Ray, how you doing, sweetie? I have a funny little story about holidays and toys. We had 4 small kids. I was working as a model, and my husband was working in the railroad. We had long days, and I was carrying in suitcases, tired. And Christmas Eve came, we put the tree up, and I got to the closet and realized they only had 1 toy each. I thought, oh, my God, we're going to go down. There's going to be some screaming and crying. And honestly, the exact opposite happened. They took each toy and cherished it, and they still have the toy. They take it with them anywhere they move to in the United States. And that was a shock.
Wow.
So I say to parents, stop biting your nails. It's the feeling in the family of that peace that they want more than toys.
So after that, Angel, then every year after that, did you just get them 1 toy?
Like 2 or 3, but we didn't do the bicycle, radio, TV kind of thing we were doing before that. It was kind of shocking that they responded. I mean, really, they were delirious. They were not just happy. The pictures, their faces were glowing. They were holding that toy like it was, they treasured it.
My mother-in-law told me growing up And again, she was not necessarily destitute. She was probably lower middle class growing up. That not unusually for Christmas, she'd get something like an orange. And that was what, 2 generations ago?
Right.
So how fast are material comforts? And part of the problem is our kids, by and large, even those you can make an argument below the poverty line, materially get enormous amounts of stuff. And the question needs to become, and I don't think anybody really explores this much, but the question needs to become, what does that do to them as adults? You know, Angel, thank you. I got to run. The music's going to start. Appreciate it. This is Dr. Ray. Grateful for your company. Thank you, Andrew Kruchek. Thank you, EWTN. Thank you, Eric Dumont. And thank all of you. Walk with God. That doesn't cost anything except...
For information on Dr. Ray's presentations, books, and CDs, visit DRA.com and follow him on Facebook and Instagram. The Doctor Is In is a co-production of Ave Maria Radio and EWTN Radio and carried across the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.